In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa. In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.
Viewers around the world, you're welcome. You're welcome to another edition of our program, One on One. One on One is a show where we discuss with individuals, prominent individuals in our community, Nigeria. And I'm here. My name is Matt Godwin Iweajunwa, and we are here to have a chit chat with a doctor, a prominent figure, a stakeholder in the Ogoni land, south of Nigeria, Rivers State. Joining me to do this is my colleague and coordinator, London, UK, Fiona Akanu. Fiona, you're welcome to One on One with our doctor, Dr. Bennett.
It's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to the discussion.
Yes, we'll look forward to the discussion. Before we get him in, we know he's probably somewhere. We need to highlight on the importance of this show, this program, today's episode. It's focusing on a region in Nigeria called Ogoni land. a lot of people don't know is that that part of the world is where the wealth of Nigeria comes from, and we talk of the crude oil, the petroleum, like they call it, and all of that. And that's where majority of that wealth is coming from. Now, the other interesting thing about it is, yet that's the most neglected part of Nigeria. Fiona, what do you know about Ogoni land and oil production and all the hazard is done to people there?
Hmm.
You know,
I haven't got a lot of first-hand experience. I haven't actually been there myself, but this is something that's been going on. Gosh, I think if over 25 years, if my memory serves me correctly. Essentially, what has happened is that the natural ecosystem has been destroyed from different spillages of oil. I'm not talking about how they came to be, but that's the short version of it. And what this has done is this has eroded the structure of the subsistence kind of living that the Ogoni land people have had. So it has ruined their waterways for fishing. It's ruined their land for farming, and and of course the knock-on effect of that has been a lot of hunger in the land, unemployment, and things like that. So this has been an ongoing saga. I think from the pictures that we can see here, we can only call this destruction. There isn't really any other name for it. Big companies have been brought to book about this, and there's been an ongoing conversation. Monies have exchanged hands, but the Ogoni people are still stuck in this mire, in this dark place where they can't really get their ecosystem to function the way it did before this discovery.
Fiona, you said that right. Fiona, the thing there is now this it's interesting how people will come to somebody's land, and take valuable things there, and you don't care about the people's welfare, the damages you leave behind. You don't seem to care. But what we found out also, Fiona, is that there are these conspiracy, treacherous moves done by some locals in the land, some elders and some, figures in the land. They go back behind, they negotiate with some of these companies, and they take their own share. They don't care how the citizens, the indigents, whatever comes for them. Anyway, Fiona, let's sit back. Viewers, you're tuning to One-on-One, like we said earlier. And a One-on-One show is where we discuss with individuals, prominent figures around the world, mainly Africans, Nigerians. And we say things pertaining to our welfare, say things that concerns us. And this afternoon, Fiona, viewers, we have One-on-One with a friend, a prominent figure among the Ogoni people, a major stakeholder. I'm talking of Dr. Bennett Birabi. Dr. Bennett, you're welcome to One-on-One. Can you hear us?
I can hear you clearly, yeah.
Very good. You're welcome, sir.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, Fiona, can you hear Dr. Bennett?
Yes, I can.
Good. Dr. Bennett, you're welcome. Before you came in, we were doing some little introduction to what we were going to talk about. Viewers, this is One-on-One, SSM One-on-One, and today we're having the chit-chat with Dr. Bennett Birabi. Dr. Bennett, like I said, is a prominent figure in the Ogoni land, among the Ogoni people. We call him major stakeholder in issues concerning the Ogoni people. Dr. Bennett, you're welcome. Let me start by saying,
thank you.
By this time last year, I saw a party on your behalf celebrating your birthday. Is it the same time? Are we celebrating your birthday today, July?
No, not today. Not today. It's around the same time, but not today. Okay, we still have a few days to go.
Few days to go. So it's almost like in that space. Okay, Dr. Bennett.
Yes.
Yes, it is within that time. We have a lot of issues A lot of things concerns your people, the Ogoni people, also in diaspora. So take note that a lot of Ogoni people are tuned into what you're saying today. They want to hear mainly, let me start with this first question, mainly the issue of that HRP coordinator thing, the one President Tinubu had to reinstate Zubi after he brought in his own one Dr. Lufemi Adekombi. Now, how do you feel about that? Does that really show that the government has your people at heart? How will a non-indigent be put into an agency that caters to your people?
Well, to be very honest with you, everybody was in shock, at the announcement of the removal of Zabe for two main reasons. One, Zabe had just been there for about a year, just barely 1 year. And to the best of our knowledge, there has been no complaints from anybody that we know. At least if they did, we didn't hear about it. And as much as possible, he was trying to walk the ropes, because dealing with Ogoni people is not the easiest thing in the world, Mm-hmm. So then we suddenly heard that he has been removed and replaced with a Yoruba man. The man who is on ground, who is from Ogoni, is having difficulties navigating the terrain. How much less somebody who doesn't even speak the language? He hasn't been there before. He doesn't know anybody. For us, we thought he was the president just wanted to shut down the program, But fortunately, I think he listened to some interventions and rolled back his plan. And we already expressed gratitude to him for listening, because he possibly wouldn't have listened anyway. And if he didn't, all we do is just maybe go to war, start fighting ourselves and all that. That wouldn't have been useful to anybody. So we're grateful to him that he listened. At the same time, I think whoever advised him to do that probably didn't quite know what he was doing. But people are just being overtaken and overwhelmed with greed. I don't know what they think. Whether the country is coming to an end with this government, I don't know. But we thank God that he reversed it.
We thank God he reversed it. Thank you very much for that very direct answer. But we really hope and pray that our leadership, the governors in Nigeria, should understand how to pick people into key positions like that. Fiona, let's hear what you have from your end.
Okay. It's a pleasure and honor to meet you, sir. This has obviously been going on for a quite prolonged period of time. Can you talk us through, as an outsider, even though I know the story, for anybody who is out there that might be listening across the world, Nigerians in diaspora, could you talk us through exactly what this looks like for your people? Tell us exactly what this feels like for your people.
I didn't get the first part of the question. You were kind of mute.
Right. Okay. I said for people who have never been to Ogoni land and don't know the story, for people who are perhaps foreigners or people that are in diaspora that don't really understand what it actually feels like on ground, can you give us a quick snapshot of exactly what it feels like to be an Ogoni person in that situation?
For Ogoni people, like I said in one of my press statements, we're an indigenous tribe, and we've been here years before Nigeria became independent. And like I said, we've never been conquered in a war by any tribe, never. So as small as we appear to be, we are also very fiercely independent. But then what has happened is that governments haven't taken over the entire resources of the country, and then gotten everybody into this mindset of money sharing and resource sharing and all that. The Ogoni people also expected to benefit a bit from the sharing, because we've contributed a whole lot. For upwards of about 10 years or more, Ogoni was probably doing more than half of Nigeria's oil exports, you know, before they now started discovering offshore oil and all of that. And yet, if you get to Ogoni today, I don't think there's much difference between what it was in the before the discovery of oil and what it is now. Not much difference at all, you know. In fact, the only thing that has given some kind of facelift to the place is because they now created 3 local governments, and then of course local government headquarters, you know, we have a little money, they have some houses, and then some people are earning some salaries. Otherwise, we are basically just as we were before Nigeria's independence, you know. So being on ground, there is no industry in Ogoni, so everybody depends on government employment, you know. And then of course we're farming and fishing community, so starvation is not our portion. You hardly can find people starving in Nigeria, but the social dysfunction of recent has also introduced starvation. So because people can no longer go to farm due to insecurity and the stealing and all that has going on, and the violence in the place. So what's on ground now is not palatable at all. It's not good, and it's not the best description one can give it.
Okay, so
it's not the most pleasant place to come from at this point. But we who come from there, we don't have a choice, actually.
Okay, so can I just wanted to speak to what it's like.
Does that answer your question?
Not to partly, but what I wanted to understand was when we see images of Ogoni land, for example, we had a documentary here some months ago, and it showed us a particular river, for example, and it was, you know, it looked like black sludge was in the river. So I was trying to understand, as a farming and a subsistence community, so you just now said that, oh, people are people still able to farm and fish in the way they were doing previously? Or is that, you know, that's the understanding that I'm trying to get? Oh, sorry, I'm not sure. I think there's an issue with the sound. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, doctor, can you hear us? Can you hear?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I lost you for a few minutes. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay, Fiona, you know what we'll do? Maybe we'll run the clip of what you're trying to say so that doctor can give that answer. Doctor, okay. It's, you know, outside here in the diaspora, there are clips of what people go through in Ogoni land. That's what she's trying to say. Yes. And I think the studio has that clip. Let's see that clip before she comes with the question.
It for sale in makeshift factories. On the way, I noticed a small river that has been badly polluted. The sort of sea just over here. This little stream, I mean, you just see, look at the colour of the water there. The blackness and the slime on the banks. And this is someone's home here. These people live here, they farm here, and this is what the oil production is doing. Wow. And this river, I assume, is dead. A few minutes later, we arrived at the Iba community, where many of the people killed in the recent explosion came from. There's an edgy atmosphere here, and our security team do not want us staying long. I'm meeting local...
Thank you, Mark. So those are the images we receive here in the diaspora and across the world. And I was wondering, with that sort of water, with that sort of stream, with that sort of river, are people still able to go about their daily fishing, for example, the way they used to before all this?
Doctor, can you connect to that? Can you see us? Can you hear us?
I saw a bit of the gentleman on the bridge, you know, on
Yes.
that heavily polluted water. Yes.
Yes. So did you hear Fiona's question? Did you hear her question after that?
He wasn't very audible, so I didn't hear the question he asked. What was the question? Can you?
My question is this, sir. So looking at that image, it makes people outside Ogoni land think that that's what all the waterways in Ogoni land look like. Is that correct? Or are people still able to go around about their daily fishing business, for example?
Okay, I think we're having issues with. Yes, but doctor, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you clearly. I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me clear. Okay. What Fiona is saying is she's asking after that video, because this is what we see here. Nigerians in the diaspora, Nigerians outside of Ogoni, see these documentaries. We see a lot of these damages that have been done to your ecosystem. So Fiona is asking how is life with the people if they have to fish and the water is like this? I mean, how is survival? What happens when the environment is like this for the people of Ogoni?
But that's precisely what I was talking about. That actually the oil spills and all of that has actually worsened our situation. But ordinarily, because we're a farming and fishing community, hunger was not our portion, ordinarily. But now, aside from the polluted waters and so on, where there's no more fishing unless you go all the way to the high seas, no more fishing in the place. And how many people have trawlers to go into the high sea? So it has been pretty difficult, but people are still surviving anyway. They still go to farm. But even farming has become problematic now because the introduction of free cash into the society has made people now all forget the farms. And then all of a sudden, of recent times, with the economic downturn and the high cost of food stuff and all of that, people can no longer farm anymore. You plant a whole farm of cassava and you wake up one morning, it's operated by somebody else. So it is pretty difficult. It's tight.
Okay.
It's pretty
Thank
difficult.
you very much, Dr. Bennett. Dr. Bennett, we followed some of your presentations too. And you've been standing on your feet on the slogan you brought out. You say Ogoni is not for sale. Ogoni is not negotiable. It's not for sale. What's the motive behind that ideology, and how are you going about it? How are you going about that statement?
Well, basically, the intention was to let everybody know that you cannot stay in Maiduguri or in Sokoto and then you own all the resources on Ogoni land because some government plotted the place and said, this is your acreage, So you now stay there and then you send some people to go into Ogoni and go and drill oil. And then they sell the oil and we don't see the oil to start with. Oil is all taken away through pipelines. And then we don't see the money because the land is there. As I was born there 74 years ago. The land is still the same as it was. Nothing has changed. So basically what we are saying is we are part of Nigeria. We can't deny we're part of Nigeria. We enjoy the sovereignty of Nigeria. But if there are resources on our land, we should benefit from that resource.
That's correct.
So basically, we're not asking for too much. If you're drilling oil in Ogoni, please refine some of the build an industry in Ogoni. We can't have oil and we don't have an oil industry. So you can't pipe away the oil and leave us high and dry. So build an industry, an oil industry on the land so that people can have employment. You get your oil, our people can get some salaries and so on, and they can send their children to school and assure their next generation. And even when the oil dries out, we can look back and say, okay, when we had oil, this is what we got.
Excellent.
Because right now, there is nothing to show that they will ever produce oil in Ogoni.
So
that's basically what I meant.
Fiona, sorry, before you go on, it's good for the sake of this network where you made that statement. I think it's good we show our viewers that statement and where it was made. So let's take this clip.
ladies and gentlemen of the press. This press statement has been necessitated by recent events in the country and particularly in Ogoni as regards our future. And the subject, the topic is a caveat, issuing the caveat emptor. Ogoni land is not for sale or lease. In the past few years, our attention has been drawn to all sorts of melodramatic utterances and actions purporting to be buying or selling the oil fields located in Ogoni. All these excitements arising from an announcement that Shell Petroleum Development Company Limited was divesting their assets in the acreage labeled OML 11, the bulk of which unfortunately lie in Ogoni land. Shell had operated these oil fields in connivance with the Eastern Nigerian government since 1958 and with the federal government of Nigeria after the Civil War until 1993, when an international environmental campaign led by the late Ken Saro-Wiwa led to their forceful withdrawal from the field in Ogoni. A lot of people have some preconceived ideas or a total...
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Courtesy of Capital TV viewers, that's a very, very strong statement, and that shows your interest and your interest in your people, in the land, and what goes around in that land. So, to buttress more, Doctor, what are you doing to make sure people don't really come in to bite out of your land for nothing? I mean, even though you've said that, I can tell you there are still behind treacherous activities going behind, some people trying to do some things, probably without your knowledge. So how are you going about this statement, making sure this statement stands?
Well, I think what has happened since that press statement came out is that a lot of people have become circumspect, and they're looking back and looking at ourselves. What should be the best approach? And I think we're coming to the conclusion that if nothing else, I mean, we are Nigerians, and we are not claiming, we don't care if anybody owns his own gold or his own lithium or his own whatever up north and so on. We are still Nigerians. We want to go by the law, and by the law, federal government can come and drill oil, but by the same law, we have the right to demand that our interests must be protected in any acquisition or any usage of our lands. And what our own interest now is that if you want to come on our land to do and drill oil, you must put a refinery down on the ground. We must have an oil industry on the ground. We can't have oil and not have an oil industry. I just take the oil, pipe the oil away, and sell it abroad, and then the money is shared between Lagos and Abuja, and we are left hanging. That's not going to work. I think everybody is agreed to that. Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody. The few that are not agreed to that, they don't have a voice to even voice what they think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's we are not quarreling with anybody. We are not fighting. We don't want to break any law, but for God's sake, we're human beings, and they need to understand that we too have needs. Absolutely. Our need is just to be alive.
Absolutely.
So the alternative is for them to just bring napalm bomb and just wipe out everybody in the good. Hey, then when we're all dead, you can take the land.
No. So I think, can you hear me, sir?
So that's where we are now.
Yeah. Okay. I don't
can you hear me, sir?
Can you hear Fiona? Dr. Bennett?
Can you hear me, sir?
I'm not hearing her.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Okay. I think it has to do. Okay. Dr. Bennett, apart from what we're saying, let's be a little bit basic. Truly, countries that have similar thing like we have, and the regions where those minerals come from are the best places out here in the diaspora. I know you've also traveled around in America, in Europe. Yes, countries with mineral, with this crude oil, all these things. These are where you have best life. So how come Ogoni? I checked on some of the regional plans. People still live in squalor. People live in abject poverty. in the midst of this very massive wealth on the ground. So how do we really begin to address that, doctor? How do you get these people out? There are more people out of school, more children out of school. There are health issues. The water, like we talked about at the other time, the water is not clean. So all of these issues brings the people to abject poverty. Doctor, how can this be addressed? These are important issues, doctor.
Well, these are government policy issues, and the policy that was laid out by the military is what is still operational now. As a matter of fact, if you check properly, what we have now, they call it a democracy, but actually it's a militaryocracy, because there's no democracy about it. You know, you have a so-called constitution that gives absolute and total power to one man, Mr. President. Mr. President appoints everybody to everything in the country. He appoints Accountant General, he appoints Auditor General, appoints the Chief Justice of the Federation, appoints INEC Commissioner, the INEC Chairman of Electoral Commission, and all the electoral commissioners. Every one man appoint. How can you appoint somebody and then he will fail you in an election? It doesn't work. So what we have is a dictatorship of sorts, you know. So all of what we are suffering from is as a result of the nature of the government that the military left behind. And what you see now, I'm seeing pictures of all this fire and all this. I'm seeing these are all reactions of people whose back is against the wall.
Sorry, can I just speak to that quickly? Can you hear me?
When people begin to burn themselves like this, then they don't care dying.
I don't understand. Doctor, can you hear me?
Addressing the issue, they worsen it by sending soldiers to go and shoot them and go and kill them. The country is losing so much. You know, I don't know how many million barrels of oil are lost a day per annum in this one, but a lot is being lost, and they don't care because it's not their environment. Look at the creeks and so on where we used to catch fishes and crabs and things. Those days, it's all oil. It's all soiled and ravaged with oil now. You know, because people have their backs against the wall and there's nothing they can do. I mean, when it's obvious that somebody is cheating you and you don't have any means of redress, it's even worse than now that you cannot even go to court because you can't get judgments in any court in Nigeria. Even the courts now is like pay as you go.
Yes, you go.
So, yeah.
So, doctor, really, you are out here talking to some of your people in the diaspora, Nigerians listening to you in the diaspora. Now, how can we get something started? How can change come? Yes, that's many problems. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
That question is too big or too for an individual to say this is how we can do it. I'm not in government. And when you have a country where one man has the absolute and total power, the person that can answer the question is the man who has the absolute and total power. Because I don't know anywhere else in the world, maybe perhaps Russia, you know, that you have where the president appoints Accountant General, he appoints the Auditor General, he appoints the Chief Justice of the Federation and all the Supreme Court judges. He appoints
everybody. Virtually everybody.
He appoints everybody. There's everything. Appoints the Chief of Army Staff, Navy, Air Force, and so on. The Inspector General of Police appointed by him at his discretion. There's no institution that can do anything outside of him. Even it's going to the National Assembly now. If the president doesn't appoint you, you cannot take a Senate. You can't be a Senate president or a speaker. So, how does any individual decide how something can change? We don't have. You know where we are. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it is not a laughing matter. But unfortunately, that's what it is.
It's not.
I don't know whether. Can you hear me now, doctor?
That's what it is. But nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about.
Nobody wants to talk about
Talking about people. People keep today's one seminar or the other, they speak baby English. Very intelligent people in Nigeria, you can bet for God's sake. You know,
our intelligence is, I mean, you don't, intelligence that doesn't bring progress, that's no intelligence. I mean,
God created this world and set laws to govern this world.
That's true.
And those laws are irrefutable. Man, if you jump down from a tree, the law of gravity you cannot, you know, and you know, when you do certain things, you expect something back.
That's true.
So what we are doing now, if you push somebody to the wall, is either the person will fight back or the person just blends in the wall, you know, and then it's been difficult. You can't see wealth under your soil and in front of you, and you are dying of starvation. People will do everything to get out of it, or to find a way to.
So, Mark, I'm interested to know if, with the different things that have happened in Ogoni, like for example, when the menace of people trying to, you know, tamper with the
So
oil.
in our own case, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. You can hear you. Fiona is actually talking, but I think it's network issue. But you can hear her. Fiona is in London, and she's asking her question also.
So Mark, if you can help me, I just want.
So let Fiona ask me what she wants, and then I'll put it to you, Doctor. Go ahead,
so
Fiona.
So I'm interested.
No, she can't hear you, and you can.
I can hear him fine, but he can't hear me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So right, my question is with the menace of them saying that people are touching all the pipes and all these fires and everything. When these fires happen in the community, what is the government response? Does the government respond promptly? Is there a financial pay? Do they come in financially? Is there like a disaster recovery? Is there any way the government steps into action when these things happen, or are they just left to deal with the disaster as it unfolds?
Dr. Bennett, what Fiona is asking is, when you have these fire incidents, this explosion of oil rig and all the rest, does the government come in to compensate people, help those that have been hurt, that have lost their property, lost lives, if probably? Does government come in to compensate the community? That is Fiona's question from London.
I've never heard of any such intervention by any government. I've never heard of it. If anything, when that happens, the next they probably just send in soldiers to go and look for the ones that are wearing guns to shoot them down, because they are stealing oil.
Wow.
That's what I know. That is a sign that something is going on there. So soldiers should move in and deal with whoever is left behind. So compensation.
Compensation.
I think that's
okay. Doctor, this one is personal now. Dr. Ken Saro-Wiwa died on this curse, this same reason of trying to bring a better life for his people, and they picked him up as a traitor. Now, what are the Ogoni? What are you doing to make sure that the government, yes, the government is government, we all have our allegiance to the governance, but I mean, they can't be muzzling people's mouth or putting people in a corner because they are trying to express themselves for their own good. So how do you go? What system do you use to put out your requests, your demands, and still don't look like you're a traitor? How do you do that?
Well, you see, English is it has meanings for different people. Yes. Like in that paper I wrote, whereas the Delta boys are being hunted and killed every day, that they are doing artisanal refining of petroleum products. There's a law set by the president for the Northern boys to do artisanal gold mining for themselves.
Okay.
So now, when the artisanal refinery guy in Niger Delta is a traitor, the artisanal gold mining guy in the north is a patriot.
Okay.
So you can answer the question for yourself. What we have is that what I'm saying is that the law in Nigeria is personal. Everything is wrong depending on who commits the crime.
Everything is
worrying.
wrong depending on who commits the crime. Viewers, you are listening to Dr. Bennett Birabi. This is a distinguished man. Yes. Did I pronounce the name well?
Birabi.
Birabi. That's a beautiful name. Your name sounds very foreign, doctor. Your name sounds like anybody that hears all of your name will think you're probably an American. How come an Ogoni is bearing English names?
This is a raw indigenous Ogoni man.
Raw indigenous Ogoni man. Nice.
So Mark, sorry, I have one final question based on what you just asked.
All right, Fiona.
Quickly ask the doctor. Can you help me with that?
Yes, Doctor. Fiona is asking a question, so I will relate back to you.
Does he feel secure?
Why I can't hear her is a pity.
I don't know why. Does he feel any kind of? Does he feel himself a security risk in the light of what we've just discussed? Does he feel personally that he could be at risk?
Fiona is asking if you feel like in a security risk in the light of what we're discussing. Are you open to say what you? I mean, do you feel comfortable saying all you've said? No risks at all.
But you get to a certain stage in your life that you know if you cannot say what you know, then you're not fit to be alive.
Okay.
You know, at my age, if I cannot say what I know and what I feel and what I believe, then what am I doing here?
I admire that.
I just die.
I admire that.
So there's no security anything. I mean, even if I didn't say anything, armed robbers can stop me on the road tomorrow and just kill me. Okay. So what difference does it make if I say what is true and what I believe in and they still kill me? What difference does it make? Death is death anyway. Big deal.
Doctor, one last one again.
So I don't.
Yes, you've said that very well. Thank you. You were once a senator, and that was a big chance you had to also bring some reforms, some change in the land. What were your achievements as a senator representing your people?
In the circumstance that we're talking about, the nature of the government that we have, what can an individual do? I was in the Senate when the crisis started, and I remember clearly that when I think it's the day Sarua was arrested, I came out and gave a press statement that said, they are looking at the Ogoni thing as if it is nothing because the people are a small tribe. But they should remember, I'm a medical doctor by training. The wound that will kill a man doesn't have to be a very big dive cut. It could be just a whittle on your little finger. And if left untreated, it can result in septicemia and death of the big man. So the strength of any country is measured not by the large tribes, but how you treat your minorities. Because that's the weak link. But Nigeria has been consistent in treating their minorities as if they are not humans. And that is why we are where we are. There's God up there. God created all of us. So what is happening in Nigeria is, I believe, is a punishment from God for the way we've treated our weak people. I mean, if you treat, I don't know. Let me not get too emotional about this thing. But I mean,
don't get emotional. Don't get emotional. Okay, yeah. Finally, Doctor, the ML11 issue. We want you to address the ML11 issue. Some people are also writing questions, but because of time, we might just send those questions to you directly to speak to them. We respond. But the ML11 issue, please speak to that.
Yes.
Speak to that, Doctor.
There's no need to speak to that because OML11 is a very large acreage.
Okay.
That was built by Shell. It covers not only Ogoni, it covers even up to some parts of Ikwere land and all of that, up to Eche and up to Oyibo. So, but the particular portion of it that's in Ogoni is the one that has been shut down for the last 30 years or more, and that is that's what I was referring to in that statement. We are prepared for the oil operations to take place, for them to resume operations and start pumping the oil. But there has to be something that we receive and agree that we produce oil.
Yes.
We can't have We can't produce, we can't pump the oil away and go and sell in Rotterdam and America and so on, and then we leave us in the bush there. All we see are pipelines. It can't work. You know, so put a refinery on ground, or some gas plants in the place, or something that children can be employed, that can produce some kind of trickle down, generate some kind of economy in the place. People can get work, children can go to school, people can build their houses and live like normal human beings. You still take your oil, and because that you refine the thing on the ground, that doesn't mean that the oil is stolen or is given free of charge. Is that too much to ask for?
Is that too much to ask for?
It's not too much.
So always we cannot just pump the oil away and leave us high and dry. That's all, though. That's all we're asking for. And if they don't want to agree, well, we're here. We'll see how it goes.
Dr. Bennett, you've come in. You've said so much. Viewers have heard you. We have quite some numbers here listening. I think we might have you again on this platform. Probably by then also Fiona would have fixed the audio, because people are curious. People want to hear what you're saying more. Most Nigerians in diaspora, our eyes are all feasted in our country, Nigeria, and Ogoni, South is also a place of concern. So thank you very much. Doctor, before you go, what words do you have for your people listening? What do you want to tell them to at least keep them calm too?
What all I'll tell them is, don't lose faith in God. We don't know how we got here. God put us here. I could have been born anywhere else in this world, not Ogoni, but God chose to have me born in Ogoni. So let's keep faith and tell the truth. Just tell the truth as it is.
It's been a pleasure.
Let's keep faith and tell the truth. Fiona, it's a pity we didn't hear from you, but it's all good. Viewers, this is it. We've been on one-on-one with Dr. Bennett, and you've heard all he said. He can say what he said because he understands how it is. So this is it, SSM 101. Dr. Bennett, thank you for coming. We hope to have you again. Yes.
Thank you for having me, and I'm always here.
Yes. Now, Dr. Bennett, remember this. You have your people outside also. There are lots of Ogoni people scattered around the world, in Europe, Asia, in other parts of Africa. Now, sometime, let's see how we can have that collaboration. Let these Ogoni people outside also bring them in to bring their inputs, because they've gained some knowledge staying outside. They've seen how things work. They've seen how good things happen. So also find a way of engaging with them. Find a way of bringing them in to add their own inputs into the communal development. So on that note, we want to thank you again. Till we come again. Thanks, or you want to say something? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
No. I was just thanking you and to say I'm always available. Anytime you want us to have a conversation, I'm here. Okay, thank you very much.
Arrange something.
God bless you. Have a beautiful week, Doctor.
In a world where news flies around every minute, you need the ability to relate and connect with what matters and stay up to date. Schengen Story Media News Echoes program is Africans in Diaspora and at Home's leading English news network, one of the most trusted, respected sources for news updates on current affairs as they affect global Africa.